Once upon a time, on a sad Valentine, in a place known as Hanniger Mine, a legend began. Every woman and man would always remember the time, and those who remained were never the same. You could see the fear in their eyes. Once every year, as the 14th draws near, there's a hush all over the town.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Spooky Celluloid, and I think you've just realized that I'm better looking. No, I'm not better looking, I'm just clearer. So I've got a new little toy so I can more easily connect my actual good cameras so you can see me in beautiful high definition. Unlike my previous shows where I used a shitty ass webcam, I'm still figuring out audio. This is probably my best setup yet. It's basically just a microphone connected to this camera with a little lapel mic on my actual blue snowball, which broke for some reason, and it's better sounding than it sounded on my cell phone, and I don't have to sync the audio afterwards. And I just want to leave you with the soundtrack of My Bloody Valentine for a little bit, because it's so good.
That the legend was born, all the shock and the horror was there. Or the legend, they say, on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on and on, and no one will know as the years come and go.
I'll probably get a copyright strike, but I get one every episode anyway because of my use of music. And if you haven't figured out, this is my Valentine's Day special. No, not really. I don't really want to do stuff like specials. It's just I wanted to find a theme for this week and make maybe a shorter episode, just because, as you may have figured out, I'm kind of still sick from last week. That's the reason there was no video, but I do have a video for Valentine's Day this week. It's well timed. I didn't meant it to be that way. I was just too sick last week to edit, but it's gonna be my my new episode of Spooky's Dirty Movie Corner on the Japanese indie BDSM flick Devil's Feast. I don't think it's as good as my first episode. I think the movie didn't inspire me as much. The movie was just really meh, and I think that's the problem. So next Spooky's Dirty Corner, I'll definitely try to find a movie that has that touches everything, Entrails of a Virgin, and if I cough and I forgot my water, so it's gonna be a shorter episode today. I wanted to discuss two movies I've watched in the last 2 days. I wanted to discuss small town horror because it's a subgenre I really do love. I have a big fascination, big passion for small town horror, and today I'm going to discuss, well, you saw from that opening theme song, My Bloody Valentine, of course, a classic, not only classic small town horror, classic slasher, classic Canadian film. Yes, it's, if you didn't know, by the accents and the Moosehead beer. My Bloody Valentine is very Canadian, and I also wanted to talk about what's in my opinion, what is one of the most underrated horror flick from the 70s, and that is The Town That Dreaded Sundown, another classic. So I'll leave you with some trailers just because I forgot my water. I wasn't prepared. I don't want to start over again. No, what I'll do is I'll talk until I'm tired of talking, then I'll play the trailers. That's the deal, guys. Perfect. Alright, so yeah, small town horror. I think it's a great subgenre. I don't think it is explored enough anymore. Sadly, I think that our modern lifestyle is has made these small town horror films kind of unfashionable in the way that because as country town like country houses are still very popular, isolated houses are still very big cliche in modern horror movies, with every paranormal kind of film that's coming out, especially if I think of The Conjuring. But I'm not talking about country horror or isolated houses. I'm really specifically talking where a movie where the town is his own character, and I don't think I could have picked any another better example than Town That Dreaded Sundown, because Texarkana, the small town that the movie happens in, is really the main focal point of that film. There's no really main characters other than maybe the captain of the police, but he comes in like 30 minutes. But for the whole duration of the film, the town is really its own character, and that's the type of movies I'm talking about today. I think I can think also of The Fog. That's a great small town horror, and My Bloody Valentine also. It's not as important as in Town That Dreaded Sundown, but the town in My Bloody Valentine is obsessed. Well, not obsessed. It's called Valentine's Bluff, so they do. They really like to celebrate Valentine's Day. They had their annual Valentine's Day dance, and the mines are more of a character than the town, but the mine is still a part of the town in My Bloody Valentine. So I think I picked up really two good examples, and if you guys want to tell me your favorite small town horror in the comments below, I'll be glad to discuss them with you. Other than that, I think I will play the trailers, some classic trailers of My Bloody Valentine, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, because that'll be my first movie I'll be discussing. So yeah, original cult classic. Let's see how this goes. Yes, I'll be back. I'll just go get me some water, and thanks for waiting.
Samuel P. Fuller, age 24. Linda Mae Jenkins, age 19. Brutally attacked March 3rd, 1946. Howard W. Turner, 29. Emma Lou Cook, 17. Bodies discovered in a wooded area on March 24th. Roy Allen, 17. Peggy Loomis, 15. Both found dead April 14th in Spring Lake Park. Floyd Reed, age 34. Murdered in his home on May 3rd. Mrs. Reed shot twice, but survived. This man's identity is unknown. He was believed to be between 30 and 40 years old. He wore a white hood and was known only as the Phantom Killer. World War II had just ended. In Texarkana, Arkansas, boys had come home to their families. Husbands reunited with their wives. It was a happy, peaceful time.
All right, don't want to cut it short, but I'm back. So yeah, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. If you haven't seen that movie, click pause and go watch it right now. It's easy. It's kind of easy to find. I think it's on Shudder. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but yeah, go watch it. It's probably one of the most amazing 70s indie grindhousey kind of film. It's not really grindhousey in the way that Cannibal Ferox or like Pieces are. It's more this low budget movie that played in drive-ins. It's Charles B. Pierce, the director. It's the only movie I've seen from him. I'm kind of curious about his other work, and it's produced by schlock producer legend is it Arkoff, but is it Sam Arkoff? Yeah, it's Sam Arkoff. I can't believe I forgot his name. But yeah, that movie, it's based on the grisly murders that happened in Texarkana in 1940, and it actually plays more like a documentary than your typical horror film from that era, and I think that's why I like it so much. It's distinctive from its competition by its style. It is. Sometimes the acting is a bit iffy. It's a lower budgeted production, but it does have some good actors in it. The guy that plays the captain is pretty good. But like I said earlier, the town is more a character than the characters on screen. You feel the dread that the town goes through after every murder. And it's based on true events. I've actually saw a documentary called Urban Legends that kind of explored more of the Phantom Killer's actual story. And I have to be honest, it's pretty close to reality. I don't have on the top of my head every detail from the real story, but I think Charles B. Pierce didn't take that much liberty of creating his own. It's not an exploitation movie film that feels exploitive. It feels almost like a film you would show like teenagers so they could be more careful where they do their parking, how they act, to be careful, with just going in the woods alone at night. So I think it works as a documentary. Well, of course, it's not a real documentary. I would actually it's not a shockumentary either. It's like, I don't know what's the term in English, but it's like fake documentary, and it does a really good job. I really think this is one of the best movies from the 70s. It's super slow. It's a slow burn. It's an hour 30, but there's a few slow moments. I think the narration definitely helps. The style, the art direction is truly beautiful. What they did, it truly looks like it's in the 40s, and they had to do the entire movie like that. That's also why I'm so impressed with this film. Is for such a low budget, they did such a great job dressing up the town. The costumes are very, very good. The cars, everything is a very period appropriate. Of course, I'm not an expert. I can't tell you like it's supposed to be happening in 1946. Of course, I can't be like, oh, this is a dress that became popular in 1948. Oh, that's a Chevrolet from 1951. I'm not that pro at any subjects, but in my opinion, they did a very good job at dressing up the town. There's nothing that looks remotely modern, and it's very good at showing the times. It starts off with a narration that's hopeful, hopeful for the future. They just came back from war. The boys and girls and the women and men that fought came back, and 1945, the men that came back, they started businesses, they started buying new cars, they started having babies, the baby boomer era. So it starts off as this really hopeful kind of film where you're like, oh, this is nice, this is a departure from typical horror films. And then it's slowly like the dread, and the title is, not only is this one of the greatest titles in horror movie history, it's very appropriate for the film. You really start to feel the dread of people living in it, just the fear of the people, and especially if it's based on a true story. Yes, there were some murders in Texarkana, and no, they never caught the killer. That's really, you really feel that dread of like, holy shit, this is just getting worse and worse. They throw in some comedy bits, but it's really, I'd say like it's really a depressing movie. It's not a super like, oh, happy-go-lucky watch. It really starts to get to you at the end. You're like, are they gonna catch him? They almost do it, but they never do. And the ending narration is so like, they never caught him. Some people think he went to jail for another crime. others are not sure when he's gonna strike back, and you really feel that. You're very, I don't know, it's a great movie. It's a classic. I have troubles explaining it, but yeah, it's a great movie. Highly recommended. One of my favorites. Especially if you're into more if you're more into documentaries and more cinema vérité, this does a good job at it, and I think it might be one of the first like fake documentaries. I know they did a similar film to this for Ted Cruz, the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer. I know they did a similar movie, but that one was really like, let's get the killer. This is more like informative. This is more like, this is what happened in the 40s. We haven't caught him yet. It doesn't really. It's not really. Like, it doesn't try to shock you. It's not. It's just, it tells you what's happening on screen, and you see it, and you just feel that, are they gonna catch him? And the story is the real story. They still haven't caught the guy. For all they know, the Phantom Killer is still at large. Of course, he hasn't killed anybody in like the last damn, at this point it's almost 50 years. No, it's more the 40s. It's like 80 years almost. So of course the guy that did it, if he hasn't gotten caught for another crime, he's probably already dead. But it's just unnerving thinking that there could still be that killer at large. Maybe not today because it's been so long since the 40s, but when this movie came out, if you were a citizen of Texarkana or around there, I think you could probably still be like, oh, I'm uncomfortable right now thinking that this maniac might still be at large. So yeah, great film. I'll show you the trailer for My Bloody Valentine, because that's my next movie. I'll be discussing why I wrote for my, but no, it's My Bloody Valentine trailer. It's a classic. I love that one. But we'll watch not the remake, the Scream Factory, because they released it. I'm so happy. That's Pardon
with my friends.
That's an ad. Check this out.
It's a bad time, this time of year.
How many times is he gonna tell this story?
Oh, let him tell it. I love fairy tales.
This ain't no fairy tale, little girl. If you don't take it seriously, you're a fool!
The first Valentine's dance in 20 years has to be something special.
Look, Landers, you gotta get a lot of exercise if you're gonna grapple with Gretchen. Oh, yeah? Well, I got a Valentine for her that she's never gonna forget.
I just realized like how shitty the quality of this trailer is. Holy shit. Scream Factory, come on guys. Trust me, the actual transfer is way better than this. I watched it yesterday. I got it yesterday. It was released a few days ago, like in the States, but I think in Canada it just came out yesterday. And holy shit. I never saw the fully uncut version of this film. I just saw the regular, the theatrical. I got a DVD like last year, and I was so happy to finally, because there was a Blu-ray a long time ago. It's long out of print, long out of print. It goes for stupid money. That had the uncut footage, but not restored properly. So not only did Scream Factory restore the entire film, they restored the cut footage, and I don't know why. Because on the Blu-ray, it's right there. It's right here. So on the Blu-ray, disc 1 is the theatrical version, and disc 2 is the uncut version. Why? I mean, if you're watching this at this point, if you got this Blu-ray and you want to watch it, you must watch the uncut version. There's no like real other way to watch this movie, you know, unless you like censorship. But no, it's a great. It's one of the greatest slashers. It's definitely my favorite kind of holiday horror. You know, I like Halloween, of course. I love Halloween. It started this whole movement why I love 80s slasher so much. It started with Halloween, but I'm gonna be honest, it's far from being my favorite film. In my opinion, it's a bit slow and it's a bit boring even for a 70s film. I like slow burns, but I just think that Halloween is a bit too. No, really what I don't like about Halloween, it's not the fact that it's slow. I think it's just the character. Michael Myers is not an interesting character in its design, in its costume. He's just a man wearing a face, and that's of course a fact that the movie was so low budget, well, compared to, you know, other movies at the time. It's low budget. The budget for Halloween is actually pretty good considering what it is. But you know, Michael Myers just never felt inspired. I prefer Halloween 2 to Halloween 1 because it's more of an 80s slasher, and my favorite of all time is Halloween 3 because it's not a Michael Myers film. So, but to come back to My Bloody Valentine, like My Bloody Valentine is actually my favorite holiday type slasher, and I would take it I would watch it any day of the week over Halloween. It's in my top 5 slashers also. My top 5 slasher, I might discuss it further, but if you're curious, it's Sleepaway Camp's number 1. My Bloody Valentine's number 2, The Burning, Nightmare on Elm Street, either the first one or part 3 or 4. The first one, and Pieces. If you consider the New York Ripper a slasher, it would actually take the place of Nightmare on Elm Street, but if you don't, Pieces is my 5th favorite slasher. Just on top of my head, I might have forgotten some stuff, but yeah, you know, whatever. The important part is My Bloody Valentine's part of it. Part of why I love it so much is my Canadian patriotism, I guess. It's Canadian. It's obviously, it's goddamn, the accents are so heavy. I never realized that. I watched this movie for the first time as a kid, like at 12, 13, and I wasn't as good with accents, so I didn't really realize it. And then you know, I watched it yesterday and last year also, but not as much. I'm like, holy shit, TJ's accent is so goddamn heavy. Like, he sounds like a true, like, stereotypical Canadian. The accents are ridiculous. If you want a true representation of what Canadians sound like, holy shit, watch My Bloody Valentine. There's so much Moosehead beer. I mean, it's good beer. I think I've had it. I might be confusing it with another beer, but there's so much beer, Canadian accents, and swearing that, yeah, it's truly Canadian. They try to pass it off as American, I'm pretty sure, but it just doesn't work. Like, anybody who's a bit trained with accents can tell you already, like, how Canadian that movie is. It's directed by, I always get his name wrong, George Mihalka. Got a signed poster of this film by the man, George Mihalka. But yeah, why do I love this movie so much? I think it's truly just because it's a fun slasher. It just feels, it's kind of like Sleepaway Camp, you know, it feels like they had so much fun doing it, and it's that energy is like, it's contagious, you know. It looks fun. Also, I think as a horror film, as someone who doesn't watch as much horror as we probably do, it's kind of atmospheric and kind of spooky, you know. It gives you the creeps, especially the mine scenes. You feel claustrophobic, you feel scared, you feel like what the characters are feeling. You can really put yourself in the character's shoes, and I think they It accomplished that by the fact that the characters are so goddamn like loving. Like, you love every character in this movie, even the assholes, you know, the little love triangle where like you're supposed to take a side, but really everyone's doing a good job. Their characters are all so lovable, and that's how they accomplish, you know, the feeling of fear you get when they're stuck in the mine at the end, and they're almost like all getting killed. Every person that gets killed in this film, you feel it, except of course like the first girl that's just this random chick, they're having sex in the mine and she gets killed. Like, other than that, you feel every kill in this film. You're like, this is no, why? You love every character, and I really do think they did such a great job. It's really similar to Sleepaway Camp in that fashion. Also, The Burning, all these movies, Friday the 13th, all these early 80s slashers, you just see like everyone, no one had a big career at that time during the production of these films. There was no egos, they're having fun making the films. And I haven't seen the bonus features yet, but I do assume there's some interviews, and I would assume that everyone at least had a little bit of fun during this film. The uncut footage that they brought back, thank God, looks amazing. And it's also so refreshing to see an 80s slasher movie see what the director intended you to see. Because what a lot of people lost maybe in nostalgic goggles don't realize is a lot of slashers were cut down due to violence, because the MPAA hated slashers so goddamn much, especially indie ones, but even the big ones, even the big dogs, which at the time were kind of indie, yeah. Like New Line Cinema got it so much shit for Nightmare on Elm Street, but nobody got it worse than Friday the 13th. That series got so massacred by the MPAA that it's almost pitiful at some points. You're watching like the second, the third, maybe less the fourth one, and you're like, why? Oh, this could have been so amazing. The first one too, like the work on the special effects guys went unseen for many years. I'm talking about My Bloody Valentine. So much work and passion and love went into this film that was lost due to censorship, and so it's a breath of fresh air to watch it again. I know if you had the old Blu-ray, you already saw it with the gore intact, but they cleaned it up and it actually matches in the old release, because I saw some footage from the old release. It would be so scratched up because it was put out by Paramount. They don't care about their back catalog, but Scream Factory does, so they cleaned the footage and it looks oh so good. It's awesome. I love this goddamn movie. I know I've just been praising every positive from both movies, but I truly do have a passion and a love for these two films. In my opinion, two of the greatest small town films. I think I have a better connection to My Bloody Valentine because it's a small town film. It's Canadian. If you didn't know, I'm from a really small town, smaller than Texarkana. Texarkana, the movie feels like a small town, but Texarkana is actually a town with like 40,000 people, I think they said in the narration. This one truly like hits home because it's a small ass Canadian town, alive only by its mining industry. It's kind of like where I'm from, only we don't have an industry. It's kind of sad. Our industry is being close to Ottawa. But yeah, it's small, it's Canadian. Characters are very, very lovable. I watched this movie and I can really see myself in the characters, like the love triangles, the small town romances, the sheriff, it's just such a nice relatable film for me. I just relatable. I never got my heart. my heart plumped out of my body, but you know what I mean. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I know this was maybe not my best. I don't know. I like talking about these movies, and I'm just all over the place. I know. I'm still sick. My brain is still like today. I had really not a great day. My brain was really farting out work, but I hope that you still enjoy this podcast. I'm happy that I finally get to have a good camera. I'm still working on audio. I'll find a goddamn way if I have to to get a actual good microphone. But yeah, thanks you for watching, guys, and I'll just leave you with a song. I'm not sure which one. You know I have to. It's one of my favorite song in our history. I started this podcast with it. I'm gonna end with it. It's The Legend of Harry Warden, the Ballad of Harry Warden. One of the greatest credit songs of all time. This has been Spooky Celluloid. This was the SpookCast, episode 4, and this is My Bloody Valentine, the Ballad of Harry Warden.
In a place known as Mine, a legend began. Every woman and man would always remember the time, and those who remained were never the same. You could see the fear in their eyes. Once every year, as the 14th draws near, there's a hush all over the town. For the legend, they say, on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on and on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. 20 years came and went, and everyone spent the 14th in quiet regret. And those still alive know the secret survives in the darkness that looms in the night. For the legend, they say, on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. In this little town, when the 14th comes round, there's a silence and fear in the air. Remember the morn that the legend was born, all the shock and the horror was there. For the legend, they say, on a Valentine's Day is a curse that'll live on, and no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago. And no one will know as the years come and go of the horror from long time ago.